Hey everyone, to collect Jurassic. It has been a while on the channel since I've done a review. Been really busy, but I'm excited to get back to it because it looks like Mattel's Dino Trackers line for 2023 is hitting a little early here already in November, and I have this Sinotyrannus in my hands, ready to unbox for this latest review. So I'm really excited about it. Again, this is my first ever Dino Trackers figure in hand. Just arrived today in the mail from Amazon. If you want to grab one for yourself or any of the other Dino Trackers figures, check out the links in the caption. I have all the links on collectjurassic.com for where you can pick this stuff up. But let's go ahead and take a look at Sinotyrannus here, get it out of the box, all that stuff. Speaking of the box, again, this is my first Dino Trackers figure in hand, so finally getting a load of the packaging, like sort of in person, right? We have the Dino Trackers logo here. That's really cool. Got like a little like map motif to it almost. And then we got the Jurassic World logo with a little bit of color bleeding onto it. And then we have gigantic tracker Sinotyrannus. You're going to have the label on there of what the actual assortment is for these bigger dinosaurs. These are like the $20-ish range figures. I think they're $22 now. You know, toy prices have been going up just like everything else. So these guys are a little bit more than they used to be. We also have Blue and Beta over here behind the tail, if you can see, coming out of like a bloom of light. And then we have the really cool environment thing that this year's toys are doing, where every dinosaur sort of has like a habitat. You know, like there's like water, mountains, jungle, forest. So Sinotyrannus here's jungle. You can see the little icon. Everything's green on the packaging. I know the color of the packaging changes depending on the environment too. So Dino Trackers logo there, Jurassic World logo here. And then on the back, we see the action features at work, total chomping action, tracking gear included, and tail strike. All things we'll demo when we get it out. You also see that the Stegosaurus is available in this line too. Haven't hit that one in the mail yet, but hopefully soon. You can also see the little mountain icon that it has. So they all have their own little environment icons, which is cool. And you also get the Jurassic Facts app there too. So let's go ahead and break Sinotyrannus out. Take a look at this figure. Take a look at the tracking gear. Maybe we'll even do some comparisons. So looks like it's just in there with some plastic ties. Nothing too fancy. And then the tracking gear looks a little bit more involved getting it out. So we'll just razor blade this plastic out real quick. Hopefully not hurt anything. And then pull this out. Ooh. There we go. Wow, it's firm plastic. So there's Sinotyrannus out of the box. A really nice looking figure. Wow. I really like the coloring on it. So like the Dominion figures before it has this marbling effect on it, which gives it a little bit more texture. Then it has actual paint on it too. You can see the paint on the, where like the neck meets the head, but the marbling in the plastic kind of helps bring that throughout the rest of the figure too without using actual paint. Also credit for painting the tail. Has like this streak of red on the sides and back. That's just a really cool little splash of color. Goes all the way to the tail, and there's like a little fins down here that are sculpted. Speaking of sculpt, really nice detail on this. Lots of little like nodules and scales. Even on the arms, it's got little scales. Really nice articulation on the arms too. Goes back and forth as well as in and out. So you can do all kinds of, you know, poses. All kinds of stuff. When they don't just go in and out, that always helps. And then the legs are of articulation too, back and forth, really smooth. Locks into place. It locks into like its like standing pose, but then you can move it and then do other things too. Yeah, and it looks down too. So nice range of motion here. Nothing too tied to the action features, right? So looks really cool. And I do think maybe the feet have this kind of articulation where you can twist them back and forth. I know they do that really so that they stay firm in the box, but you can also move them yourself if you're so inclined. I'm not. I like to keep mine where they are. And looks like the legs also bend out too, so you have that too. So yeah, nice articulation throughout the body on the feet or the legs, the arms, and then the tail has joints in it, but those are actually going to be tied to the action feature. So it's got looks like it's got 2 buttons on the top of the back that blend in really well. You weren't able to see them when I was showing the figure off because they have paint on them and they're sort of cast in the same plastic too, so they're pretty much invisible. But they do, the one button makes the tail go back and forth, kind of wagging like a puppy, right? But it's cool that they made the tail have hinges, sort of like the Dominion Giganotosaurus has that same idea where the tail has joints in it so it can swing around realistically. But you can see it's got, I mean, when you hold it down, it kind of stands in one place. When you let it go, it goes back to neutral. And if you just do it really violently, it flips back and forth. So kind of cool, and it just waves around in general. I think that's actually kind of a nice added feature to have this sort of like movable tail versus just one solid piece. And I do like that they added paint to it. And the other button is going to do the head and neck. It's really just like a side chomp. I don't think he goes back the other way. He literally just goes to the side and roars. Reminds me of the old what was that? Thrash and Devour T-Rex, or what was it? The biting one. The second T-Rex we got had the same thing, like a side bite, if you will. So Mattel's kind of bringing that pose back, but it works really well. It's pretty slick. Doesn't twist the other way. The articulation, the jaw is like tied to the action mechanism, so you can't like pose it open or pose it open, I guess. But I like that it's neutral close, because then it looks, you know, a lot of times they make the dinosaurs with the mouth already open and then the action feature would close it. But I like that they made it the opposite. So Sinotyrannus looks a little calmer just in its neutral pose. Then it's got this cool crest on its head with red paint on it. Pretty neat. Just really cool colors on this one, honestly. I'm a big fan of the simplicity here that they went for. It just looks awesome. Whole dinosaur looks cool. Let's do a little quick comparison to the last year's sort of version of this toy. This would be the Mega Destroyer Tyrannosaurus. Actually, funnily enough, a pretty similar looking dinosaur with the crest on the nose. They're very similar in size because they're the same price point, obviously. But they have the same amount of detail, and sort of maybe this one has a little bit more paint complexity. I think this guy only has the teeth painted, the darker color, and the crest, and that's it, and then the eye. Whereas this guy's got all that, right? He's got the crest painted, the eye, but he's got two different colors, red, and I think this is some sort of green coming in the body, and then also some like darker or some lighter underbelly airbrushing too. So overall, a more complicated paint job. And they even painted the bottom of his neck the same color as his jaw, so it's not quite as abrupt. So definitely a bigger paint budget here. And then, of course, last year's action was just, if you pressed it up or down, its body moved with the tail or moved going up and down, which I didn't really like that, because when you have him down like this, he's looking down. To make him look up, you literally have to pose him up. So it was kind of limiting for this particular figure, but Sinotyrannus is in a much more neutral pose here. But the really cool thing about these figures is that they came with tracking gear, right? And his tracking gear looks very extra. It's sort of like a harder plastic, but it's still very malleable and soft. You can see me twisting it here, but it's definitely not like gummy plastic. It's still pretty substantial. And I believe his just, oh, look, it's even got a little strap on it. If you can see, there's literally a strap that you can thread through. So let's go ahead and try to put it on. Looks like it goes over the chest, and then it also clips under the chin here. I'm gonna try to do this really gingerly so I'm not dragging plastic on plastic everywhere. It looks like, yep, this will just tighten right under his neck and keep that headpiece in place, which is really cool. I don't know if you can see this, but there's like sculpted like straps Yeah, and there's like a buckle there. That's all just sculpt, just big giant straps that they sculpted, which is pretty cool. And it's got all this tubing and stuff that goes to its head. And if you can see, it's like got blinders on basically. And in place of being able to see, I guess it has these optical cameras. Maybe I'm guessing there's like a little computer here on the side that wires up into the head. So yeah, maybe instead of using its actual vision with the tracking gear, it uses these optical pieces. I wonder if what's the action feature do? So he kind of does the action feature. He doesn't move his head quite as much, but his mouth still opens. But yeah, that's kind of interesting. I think kids will really like it. And I think on some of these dinosaurs, it looks cool. On this guy, it looks a little bit too science fiction for my liking. He looks a little bit like a RoboCop dinosaur. It's cool. I mean, it is cool. I'm not saying it's not cool looking. It's just not the kind of pack-in gear that I want. I'd prefer like the traditional capture gear. But honestly, this is better than not coming with anything. So I'm not going to complain too much. And they did a really nice job, again, with all the detail on it. Like I said, these straps on the top. I think there's a strap. Like this is even sculpted like Velcro, or not Velcro, but like nylon straps. It's really cool that they did that kind of detail. And again, the plastic itself is pretty substantial. So stays on really well, doesn't shake off. They did a great job kind of engineering it. And then, yeah, when you're done with it, you can literally... Well, I say that. You should be able to, just unhook this buckle down here and take off the tracking gear and get your regular dino back. But yeah, I just noticed he's got the dinosaur symbol on his foot, which reminds me, scan tag. It's going to be right there on the hip there. Hides perfectly under those spikes, same cast plastic, so it doesn't really stick out too much. So and then those buttons are up there too. So you got the bite and the tail, bite and the tail and the DNA tag. So, and then all that awesome articulation too. So pretty cool figure for 20 bucks. I was definitely excited to get it before, but now that I have it in hand, I actually quite like it, even more than I thought I would. It's just got a really cool paint combination, and the action features are pretty slick. And as silly as the Terminator gear is, I can appreciate it for what it is, but the figure without it to me is even better. I love that painted tail. It's just a really nice added detail. So Mattel, if you're listening, keep adding that paint detail. Get it back on the claws down here. Get it on the front claws. But yeah, love to see the tail painted again. That's what I'm here for. So, but yeah, that about covers Dino Tracker Sinotyrannus. Awesome first Dino Trackers figure I got. There's got to be more, and if I have time, I'll definitely keep reviewing them on the channel. But I think that's all I got for now. I'm Tim with Collect Jurassic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.